like you said, you have to when you translate, you have to think about how that sounds in the native language. And you may go for clarity and then give a long explanation of each word. Where you say, for example, oh, karma is not dharma. And say you have to translate that. Say in the Sanskrit, it says karma is not dharma. You know, then you have to say something like, fruitive activities done for some reward are not to be considered as religious duties. But you can also just go with, karma is not dharma because people know what karma is and they know what dharma is and they may not need to go to a dictionary. But how you handle that is up to you as a translator. We seem to have lost Adwai, but I think he'll be back. And we have Panashish with us this morning, iPhone SE second generation. Hari Priya, as always. Shivashini Meenakshi Sundaram, our sponsor. Tungarasi Dasi, I believe in Norway. And Teresa Lorette Mola from the Yucatan Peninsula here in Mexico. So Adwa is back. All right, so I'm going to read from Sri Guru and His Grace, and I'll see if I can try to finish the book, and then this can be our final session. Mwaha. So here we go. It's hard for me to just pick up in the middle of something, so I'm going to read some of what we already read. This might overlap. Okay, so I'm on page 145, and we're reading about the line of Sri Rupa, appearing and disappearing scriptures. Govinda Vallabhe Radhe Prartaye Tvam Aham Sada Tvariyam Iti Janatu Govindo Mam Trayasaha. This prayer is found in the Archan Padati, which comes from Gopal Bhatta Goswami's edition of the Hari Bhakti Vilas. From there it is sprung through him. It is there in the Shastra, which is an eternal flow of a particular current of knowledge. So sometimes we wonder, well, who is Gopal Bhatta Goswami and what was his particular contribution? Because he apparently has not penned too many works, but we know that the work of Jiva Goswami, especially the six Sandarbhas, the Bhagavat Sandarbha, the Bhakti Sandarbha, and so on, the Krishna Sandarbha, uh, are based on what we here referred to as notes written by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. In other words, Jiva Goswami is sort of the protector of the Siddhanta of our Gaudiya Vaishnava line. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he hasn't written many things. Rupa and Sanatan are very ontological, but in terms of situating Gaudiya Vaishnava theology as a school, Jiva Goswami's contribution is very important, and he bases many of his conclusions on what was done by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. But you don't see Gopal Bhatta Goswami's name on too many works, but he's always there in the background. So Srila Sri Ramakrishna is crediting this shloka, Govinda Vallabhe Radhe, to him. In this verse, ah, everything in everything in Vaikuntha and Goloka is eternal. Just as the sun comes up and goes down, appears and disappears, the thought is eternal and sometimes appears and disappears. So we're coming to these conclusions that were given by Rupa Goswami, especially about Radhadasyam and how the ultimate servitor of Sri Krishna is Sri Radha. And one might question, well, I don't see this in, for example, the works of the Alwars of South India. Um, I don't see this in Ramanujacharya. Why not? This must have been invented recently. But what Srila Sridhar Maharaj is pointing out is that eternal truth is eternal, and sometimes you see it, and sometimes you don't. Um, you can think of Halley's Comet, which comes around every 90 years. So you look at in the sky and say, well, I don't see that comet. It doesn't exist. But it will reveal itself again, and then it will disappear again. So the Shastras give us conclusions that are sometimes apparent and sometimes not apparent. Um, you could say that Rupa Goswami um, is really the principal person who reveals this uh, in the world. But that doesn't necessarily mean that his revealing this truth means that he created it or invented it. He's and his role is something like a discoverer. So you could say, well, nobody knew about the Americas until Christopher Columbus. And so he's credited as the discoverer. Of course, in Mexico, they'll say, well, no, he didn't discover anything. This was always here. The Mayas, the ancient Aztecs, they had their brilliant civilization. They discovered zero. They made astrological calculations about the orbit of Venus and the eclipse of the sun and moon that are valid for thousands of years. They weren't discovered by anyone. They were here. But the world credits the discoverer for saying, well, look at this. This is something interesting. Have a look over here. So in this way, you can think of Rupa Goswami like that, as someone who's pointing out an existing truth. In this verse, Govinda Vallabhe Radhe, there's a sudden turn. Krishna says to his devotee, oh, you want an intimate relationship with me? It is not to be found within my department. You will have to go to another department. Go then to the department of Radhika. Then at once the devotee's thought is transferred toward that side. All his energy is monopolized there. It is her monopoly. Your inner quest is not to be found within my department, Krishna says. You'll have to go elsewhere and file a petition there. And with this inspiration at once, the devotee puts his petition to Radharani. Govinda Vallabhe Radhe, oh Sri Radhe, your master and sustainer is Govinda. He's the Lord of your heart. Govinda means who can give fulfillment to all our senses. With our senses, we can feel perception as well as knowledge. Govinda is the master who gives fulfillment to all our channels of perception. Govinda is your Lord, but just the opposite is also true. You are the mistress of the heart of Govinda, the supreme master, is it not? You are the queen of the heart of Govinda. I have been directed to come to you with my petition. Please enlist my name in your department and admit me as a servitor in your group. Radhe Vrindavanesh Vrindavanadishe Karunamrita Bahini Kripaya Nijapadabja Dasyam Mahyam Pradiyatam. O Radhe, O Queen of Vrindavan, you're like a flowing river filled with the nectar of mercy. Please be kind upon me and bestow upon me some small service at your lotus feet. You are the queen of the whole management of ecstasy. Rasa means ecstasy. That is an unlimited flow of ecstasy. That is the specialty of Vrindavan. Adi Rasa, the original rasa, Madhurya Rasa, conjugal melody. All rasas are branches of that rasa and its particular developing character. If analyzed, all rasas will be found within Madhurya Rasa, and Madhurya Rasa has been recognized as the highest mellow of devotion. In his conversation with Ramananda Roy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected devotion contaminated with reason. He said, Eho bhag, age kaha aag. This is superficial. Go further. Mahaprabhu accepted that real bhakti begins from the stage of pure devotion unmixed with reason. When Ramananda suggested Dasya Rasa, Mahaprabhu said, this is good, but go further. Then Ramananda mentioned Sakya Rasa. Mahaprabhu said, this is also good, but go further. Then he came to Vatsalya Rasa, the sonhood of Godhood. This is very good, Mahaprabhu said, but go further. Then he came to Madhura Rasa. Yes, Mahaprabhu said, this is best. At that stage in the development of rasa, Vrindavan is the most suitable place. Madhura rasa is found most extensively in Vrindavan, so it is said, Radhe Vrindavanadi She. You are the queen of that sort of lila which is found in Vrindavan. There, the highest type of nectar is flowing. You are like a flowing river of nectar. The very nature of Krishna has been described as ecstasy himself. He's tasting the innate ecstasy of himself. He knows his ecstasy and he feels it. But to distribute that innate ecstasy outside, a particular potency is indispensable, and that is known as Hladini. The gist of Hladini Shakti, or Krishna's internal ecstasy potency, is Radhika, who is drawing the innermost rasa, the ecstasy of the highest order, extracting it from within and distributing it outside. So it is said, Karunamrita Bhakini. Ecstasy mixed with magnanimity is flowing from that great fountain. And just as a river flowing from the mountains may carry with its current many valuable minerals to the outside world, the Hladini potency carries rasa out from the abode of the rasa swarup, Krishna himself, ecstasy personified. The flow of that river of ecstasy carries ecstasy and rasa, the flow of sweetness and magnanimity to distribute to others. Then another categorical change is effected within the mind of a devotee. In the meantime, in the course of his progress, he realizes, oh, Krishna is of secondary concern to me. I find my primary connection with you, Sri Radhe. I want your direct service and not the direct service of Krishna. This awakening of the heart, intimate adherence and obligation to the next nearest agent develops in a surrendered soul. At this stage, the devotee thinks, I shall derive more benefit by giving my closest attention to the nearest agent, my Guru Dev. I shall thrive thereby. And it is his concern to sanction the upper connections. Of course, our intentions should be pure and genuine, and the business of that agent is to give us a favorable, normal connection with the hierarchy of service. All our attention should be concentrated in the service of our guru. This should be the idea. Our first tendency is to approach Krishna. In that stage, the first thing to understand is that we're helpless. Of course, all things must be sincere. First, there is the stage of helplessness. Then we want the shelter of Krishna, sweetness personified. Then we're attracted to sweetness of a particular type and to approach that department. There, we pray for the final closest connection or permanent membership as a servitor there. This has been taught by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami as the highest achievement of the living being. Das Goswami lived for 16 years continuously in the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Swarup Damodar. After they disappeared from this world, Raghunath Das, disgusted with his future prospect, went to Vrindavan to finish his life. But when he met Rupa and Sanatan there, he saw another vision, a dream of a new life. There he found, although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Swarup Damodar have disappeared from my physical eyes, they're living here in Rupa and Sanatan, within their activities, in their preaching tendency. Mahaprabhu is here as living as anything. He had to reject the idea of finishing his life, and with new vigor, he began to serve in Vrindavan. And Das Goswami has given us the understanding of our highest aspiration. He says, O Radhika, I want your service. If you are not satisfied with me, I do not want Krishna, nor his land Braja. This is his prayer, and he is admitted as the Prayojanacharya, the guru who has shown us what is the highest aim of our life, Prayojana Tattva, the ultimate destination. And this shloka proves his position as the giver of our destination. Ashabhat, Ashabharair Amrita Sindhu, Mayayakatanshit, Kalo Mayati Gamita Kila, Sambratam Hi, Twan Chet Kripam Mai Vidhasyasi Naiva Kim Me, Pranair Braje Nacha, Boraru Bakarinapi. This shloka is a direct prayer to Radharani. It expresses a particular type of hope which is so sweet and reassuring that it is compared with an unlimited ocean of nectar. He says, with that hope, I am somehow passing my days, dragging my life through these tedious times only for that hope. That hope is sustaining me. The nectarian ocean of hope is attracting me and sustaining me. Somehow, I am dragging my days to my only safety. Otherwise, I have lost the direct association of Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar, and so many other great souls. And still, I am living. Why? I have a particular ray of hope. And the prospect and quality of my hope is very great and high. But my practice has reached its end. I can't endure it any longer. I can't wait. I'm finished. I can't wait any more. At this moment, if you do not show your grace to me, I'm finished. I shall lose the chance forever. I shall have no desire to continue my life. It will all be useless. Without your grace, I can't stand to live another moment. And Vrindavan, which is even deeper to me than my life itself, I'm disgusted with it. It is painful. It is always pinching me. What to speak of anything else? I'm even disgusted with Krishna. It is shameful to utter such words. But I can have no love even for Krishna until and unless you take me up within your confidential camp of service. Such charm I have come for. I've seen the clue of such charm within the service of your camp. Without that, everything is tasteless to me, and I can't maintain my existence even in Vrindavan. And even Krishna, what to speak of others, has no charm for me. This is the prayer of Raghunath Das Goswami. So, Radha Dasyam, the servitorship of Srimati Radharani, is said to be the highest attainment of the living being by the school established by Mahaprabhu. It is the gist of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is Krishna's own version. He says in the Uddhava Gita, Na tata me priyatama atmadhyonir na shankara nacha shankarshano na shrir naivatma cha chatabhavan. O Uddhava, neither Brahma nor Shiva nor Baladev nor Lakshmi nor even my own self are as dear to me as you. And that Uddhava glorifies Vrindavan, the Vraja Gopis, and Radharani. Asam aho charanarenu jusham aham shyam Vrindavane kimapi gulma latosh adinam yadushta jam svajanam arja patam chahitba Bejur Mukunda Paravim Shrutibir Vimrigyam. The gopis of Vrindavan have given up the association of their husbands, sons, and other family members who were very difficult to renounce, and they've sacrificed even their religious principles to take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, which are sought after even by the Vedas. Oh, grant me the fortune to be born as a blade of grass in Vrindavan, so that I may take the dust of those great souls upon my head. And someone told me the other day, we hear so many folks who claim to have some sort of intimate connection or relationship with the gopis. But this person said, what's wrong with being a blade of grass in Vrindavan? What's wrong with being a tiny piece of sand that will be blown by the wind and stepped on by the lotus feet of the gopis? What to speak of Krishna? Krishna is not a Golubjaman. This is not a plaything. We're discussing the highest conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Christian Bible, I've often been told again and again by deep thinkers and contemplative uh, saints in the Catholic and Christian line that I should read the Psalms because the Psalms express the greatest poetry of the Bible. But when I read that, I find King David imploring his God to destroy his enemies. And then he discusses how with sword and fire from his burning eyeballs, God will strike down his enemies. But this is not the God that we're glorifying here. Jesus Christ may have sacrificed his soul for that particular God, but is the God of the Old Testament really the supreme personality of Godhead? I don't think so. You can see how Vrindavan, the Vrindavan conception, it's an exalted conception. And Raghunath Das Goswami, he says, um, he says, the prospect and quality of my hope is very great and high. I have a particular ray of hope, and the prospect and quality of my hope is very great and high. So this is the prospect and hope of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And Uddhava says, grant me the fortune to be born as a blade of grass in Vrindavan, so that we're not praying to God to strike down our enemies. This is a very karmic kind of consideration. In another place in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Adi Leela, it says, Krishna Bhaktira Bhadaka Jata Shubha Shubha Karma Seha Eka Jivera Agyan Tamo Dharma. That all these different karmic religions are a hindrance to bhakti. And whether karma looks beautiful or ugly, shubha, ashubha, whether it's shubha, auspicious, or ashubha, inauspicious karma. You can worship Ganesh, Shiva, Durga, all these other different aspects of power, Shakti. But this is not bhakti. This is an obstacle. Our aspiration is higher. Our hope is higher. So Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, I have this high hope. It has to do with Vrindavan. It has to do with the servants of Krishna there. It has to do with the idea that among all those who serve God, there is this intimate aspect called Madhurya, and I get my inspiration there, and everything else is tasteless to me. I can't maintain my existence if I can't rise to that level. But Uddhava's a little humble here. He says, I'd like to be a blade of grass so that I can take the dust of those great souls upon my head. Srila Sri Ramanuj continues. He says, Uddhava has shown us the high position of the gopis. And between all the gopis and Radharani, there's also a categorical difference. That was proved in the Rasa Leela. So Srila Sri Ramanuj, what he's discussing here is how the Bhagavatam, excuse me, the gist of the Bhagavatam goes to Radha Dasya. When Krishna and the gopis openly displayed their transaction of heart without divine rasa flowing and inundating all directions, Radharani was also there. She gave the highest contribution to the common rasa vilas display of the Parakya Madhura rasa, or paramour, mellow. Then suddenly dissatisfaction came in Radharani's heart. She began to think, am I also counted in the common flow of rasa? Some reaction came within her mind, and suddenly she left. After displaying her peculiar type of super excellent dancing and singing, introducing a flow of a new type there, suddenly she departed. She left the circle of the rasa dance, and Krishna suddenly found Radharani is not here. It is tasteless. The flow of rasa was there, but the gist, the quality is a little down. He felt, why is it not so satisfactory to my inner heart? He felt some ebb in the tide, and then by inspection he found that Radharani was absent. Disappointed, he left the circle of the rasa dance and went to search after her. Although the Parakya Madhura Rasa, the highest mellow of conjugal love, Vrindavan and the gopis were all there, still there is a categorical difference in quality between the other gopis and the particular camp of Radharani. In every way, there is a categorical difference, both in quality and quantity. Jayadev Goswami in his Gita Govinda has described how Krishna left the circle of the rasa dance. Kang sharir api samsara, vasana badha shringshalam, radham adaya hridaye, tatyaja braja sundari. Lord Krishna took Srimati Radharani within his heart, for he wanted to dance with her in this way. He left the arena of the rasa dance and the company of all the other beautiful damsels of Braja. Jayadev is described in this way, that Krishna left the circle of the rasa dance, taking Radha within his heart. Krishna departed in search of Radharani. Her position is so exalted. It is said, Lord Krishna's transcendental desires for loving exchanges could not be satisfied, even in the midst of billions of gopis. Thus he went searching after Srimati Radharani. Just imagine how transcendentally qualified she is. The other gopis numbered so many, but in quality they were a little less. Their total combination could not satisfy Krishna. The qualitative difference was there. That is found. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he pauses there for a moment because tatastha vichar means you can look at different things, people, qualities, and have some relative idea of, which is greater, which is less. You look at the bhakti of Narada Muni, or the bhakti of Lord Brahma, or the bhakti of Lord Shiva, or this guru and that guru, big gurus and little gurus. You can try to make some sort of comparison based on tatastha vichar. Well, here Jayadev Goswami is applying a certain amount of tatastha vichar to distinguish between billions of gopis and Srimati Radharani. And who are we to apply such criterion? But Jayadev has taken upon himself to do that. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj says the qualitative difference was there. That is found. Meaning, he's not saying this, but this is coming from higher authorities like Srila Rupa Goswami, Jayadev Goswami. Srila Sridhar Maharaj has not invented this idea. So then he invokes the conclusions of Rupa Goswami again. He says, the Rupanuga Sampradaya, the followers of the line of Sri Rupa, are those who have the unique taste of service in the camp of Radharani. So somehow we have strayed into this line, and the current is carrying us, and somehow we're connected with the Rupanuga Sampradaya. In that plane, there is no entrance of any mundane exploitation or renunciation, and not even legalized shastric devotion. So he's coming back, like I quoted this verse a little earlier. Krishna Bhaktir Bhadaka, Jata Shubha Shubha Karma, Sheha Eka Jivar, Agyan Tamodharma. All these different things, they can be seen as agyan or agyan tamadharma. The darkness of ignorance is touching all these different ideas because we're praying to some God to uh, help us get money or sex or fame, Kanaka, Kamini, Partishta, Bhagini. We're chasing after the chimeras of money, fame, women, sex, drugs, rock and roll, um, and appealing to God to help us buy a car, become free from cancer, repair a broken bone. But really, is this religion? Not so much. It's pretty much karmic activity. And whether it looks nice and it has, devotional music and candles and processions and beautiful garments, or or whether it's kind of dark, uh, like Durga Puja in Bengal, with uh, people smoking marijuana and drinking bong and dancing to satanic music and the worship of uh, Shiva, who carries a trident and has a garland of skulls and all that, ashes from the crematorium. It may not look very auspicious, but either way, it's not really the Dharma that's being promoted in Bhagavatam. The gist of Bhagavatam has been extracted here by none other than Jayadev Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and Rupa Goswami. So he says, in that plane, when we're talking about Vrindavan, this is not a funny thing. It's not a funny story that grandma tells to the children so that, they'll go to the temple and stay in the Hindu tradition, but it's okay to worship Ganesh and Durga and everybody else because that's what the astrologer said. No, it says in that plane there is no entrance of mundane exploitation or renunciation, not even um, the contemplative life of great saints in the desert who have given everything up to contemplate the Atma, and not even legalized shastric devotion. So we're setting all these, this is described in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam as Kaitava Dharma, cheating Dharma. So he says, sacrifice to the highest degree is only possible in that camp. The highest kind of divine sentiment is distributed from the camp of Srimati Radharani, and that can never be compared with any attainment hitherto known, even in the eternal factor of time and space. Wow. I'm going to read that again. He says, the Rupanuga Sampradaya, the followers of the line of Sri Rupa, are those who have the unique taste of service in the camp of Srimati Radharani. In that plane, there is no entrance of any mundane exploitation or renunciation, and not even legalized shastric devotion. The highest kind of devotion is not controlled by any law. It is spontaneous and automatic. Sacrifice to the highest degree is only possible in that camp. The highest kind of divine sentiment is distributed from the camp of Srimati Radharani, and that can never be compared with any attainment hitherto known, even in the eternal factor of time and space. Then there is another stage for which we should be prepared. Why should we try to enter into the camp of Radharani? Should we think that there, in that better atmosphere, we shall have Krishna's presence more confidentially? Should we think, no, I will have contact with Krishna very intimately? Should we want to enter into that camp? No, we want to avoid the connection of Krishna, but concentrate on the service of Radharani. Why? What more benefit is possible there in the service of Radharani? If we approach Krishna directly to give service to him, we shall be losers. Radharani's service to Krishna is of the highest order in every way. If we devote our energy to help Radharani, our energy will be utilized in her service. In this way, she will serve Krishna with her service more enhanced. Then the reciprocation will pass to us through her as our reward. That will be devotion of the highest type, Mahabhav. So the general inclination of the Sakis, the confidential maidservants of Radharani, is not to come in direct connection with Krishna. They avoid that. But still, it is the benevolent and generous nature of Radharani to connect them with Krishna on some plea at some time or other. But their innate nature is always to avoid Krishna and concentrate on the service of Radharani. This is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Radhara Swarup Krishna Prema Kalpa Lata Shaki Gana Hoyatara Palava Pushpa Pata. By nature, Srimati Radharani is just like a creeper of love of Godhead. And the gopis are like the twigs, flowers, and leaves of that creeper. Eternally, the twigs, flowers, and leaves sprout from the creeper of Srimati Radharani. She's the trunk, and they're the branches. This is their relationship. Yet still, there is another higher thing. We are known as Rupanugas, or the followers of Sri Rupa. Why? The service of Srimati Radharani eliminates everything, even Narayan, to go to Krishna. There's the Krishna of Dwarka, the Krishna of Mathura, and the Krishna of Vrindavan. Then again in Vrindavan, where there's free mixing without hesitation in other camps, Radharani's camp is the highest. Eliminating all other camps, direct service to Radharani is considered to be the highest. Still, there is another point. Srila Rupa Goswami, Sri Rupa Manjari. Who is Rupa? Rupa Manjari. Generally, the hierarchy in the spiritual world is eternal. New recruits can occupy a particular rank of Manjari, assistant, in Madhura Rasa. And the leader of the Manjaris is Sri Rupa Manjari. What is a special feature in the Manjari camp, which is not found among the Sakhis, girlfriends of Krishna? First, there's Radharani, then the camp of her right-hand personal attendant, Lalita. Then under Lalita, there's Sri Rupa Manjari. What is the unique position of the followers of Sri Rupa? The new recruits can attain to that status. Now, the privilege of this Manjari class, we are to conceive most respectfully and attentively. When Radha and Govinda are in secrecy in a private place, the Sakis, who are well versed in the art of that kind of play because they're a little grown up, do not like to approach there to disturb their confidential mixing. If the more grown-up Sakis enter there, both Radha and Govinda will feel shy, so their presence may create some disturbance. But the younger girls can enter there, and then Radha and Govinda have no hesitation in free mixing. So, in that highest stage of the mixing of Radha and Govinda, the free play of Radha Govinda, these Manjaris, the younger girls, can have admission there. But the grown-up Sakis cannot have admission there. New recruits may come up to the Manjari class, and the Manjaris have that sort of special advantage under the leadership of Sri Rupa Manjari. So they get their best advantage there, the most sacred type of pure service, which is not open even to the Sakis, is open to the Manjaris. That is found in Radharani's camp. So the position of the Rupanugas, the followers of Sri Rupa, is the most profitable position. That has been given out by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That has been shown by him, and that is fixed as the highest limit of our fortune in Krishna's concern. This is unexpectable, undesignable, and beyond hope, undesignable and beyond hope. But our prospect lies there, in that subtle cap of Sri Rupa Manjari, Rupa Goswami. So the cap, the sampradaya of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as the Rupanuga Sampradaya. There our fate and our fortune are located. Now we have to conduct ourselves in such a way that naturally we can connect with that highest, purest spiritual conception from here. We must not allow ourselves to be satisfied with anything less than this highest ideal. That should be the highest goal of our life. And we must adjust our approach from our present position. We are minors. Our Father has left us with so many important documents about the properties we are to inherit. As minors, we should try to find out what properties belong to us in those documents. When we come of age, then we shall take possession of our rightful inheritance. So what he's saying here, to digress for a moment, is say you have some questions about what we just read. Well, you can read that again. Don't ask me. Um, he's comparing these very high ideas to some documents left by your father uh, in a safe deposit box at the bank. And you know that you have this inheritance. You know you have this great treasure left to you by your father. But all the particulars of those properties, their dimensions, how many square meters, and so on, and uh, all the intricate details of your inheritance are not something that you need to dwell on so much. Uh, Attend your father while he's there. Attend those who are in charge of the inheritance as long as that's pertinent. And when the time comes, you'll get to open that safe deposit box and go over everything with careful scrutiny. He says, when we come of age, then we shall take possession of a rightful inheritance. And by come of age, he means when you are mature in your spiritual development. As people say, well, how do I know if I'm making any progress? It's very, very simple. If you are still subject to anger, then you have a long way to go because the self-same Rupa Goswami who's telling you this is also telling you this in the Upadeshamrita, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam. First, control your speech. Watch out for hate speech and uh, terrible things, prajalpo, gossip. Uh, Everybody loves gossip. In Mexico, we call that chisme. Uh, but be careful with the gossip, especially when you're talking about other spiritual seekers. Be careful about that. It will come back to haunt you. Um, Manasa Krodavega. Try to control the mind from so much mundane static. And Kroda, control your anger. And then later, at the end of the book, Rupa Goswami talks about Radha Kund. But don't think that you're a candidate for um, bathing in the transcendental waters of Radha Kund if you can't free your mind from anger and hate. When we come of age, Srila Sri Ramar says, then we shall take possession of a rightful inheritance. The Raganuga Shastra, the scriptures of spontaneous devotional love, has been given to us, left to us by our guru, our guardian, our father. And even here, Srila Sri Ramar says, he's just given you the gist of Rupa Goswami, Jayadev Goswami. So you can read Lalita Madhava, Vidagdha Madhava, and all these intimate shastras and try to find out, well, what is the gist of that? But Srila Sri Ramar, she's giving you the gist, and he's telling you, that's there, but try to qualify yourself. Come of age. As we grow more and more, he says, in the spiritual life, we shall have to detect what is our prospect, what is our real wealth. We must recover that. We must have that. It is there in the document. It is ours. That is our position. We are minors, but We must become majors and demand the service meant for us by our guardian. And then a devotee says, we are putting in our claim with you. We think that in the absence of our father, the court has appointed a guardian in order to keep us out of mischief and also to regulate our inheritance. And Srila Sridhar says, this is not mine. This is the property of my Gurudev. And Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada gave you a clue. He has distributed the key widely and given a clue. With this key, come and open the iron chest and find out what valuable ornaments and gems are within the chest. Of course, no one will understand us when we say such things. So we printed this book at Guardian of Devotion Press some 40 years ago. And what we found was so many people would come to us and say, well, we can't understand Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Uh, he says these things, but we don't understand what he says. Uh, it's too complicated. It's too erudite. It wants elucidation. Uh, but he says, of course, no one will understand us when we say such things. He's telling you, yeah, you probably won't get it. They'll say, oh, this is all the product of a disorganized brain. On the other hand, if you look at what I just read, this is some of the greatest poetry you'll ever come across. Uh, it's this book, Sri Guru and His Grace, contains uh, some of the best and greatest devotional poems and prayers to divinity that you will ever hear in your lifetime or in the next lifetime. Uh, but this is very true. People will say, this is all the product of a disorganized brain. These people are trying to take electricity from the sky, leaving aside this concrete earth. And there was a great Irishman a couple hundred years ago named Jonathan Swift. He wrote a book that nobody reads called uh, Gulliver's Travels. Gulliver's Travels. And everybody remembers the big man tied down by the tiny little people, the Lilliputians. But there's another section in that book where he travels to a flying island called Laputa, which is occupied by scientists. And he asks the scientists, so what are you doing here? They have this big machine, uh, and they're feeding cucumbers into the machine, just as you might feed cucumbers into a food processor. And so he asked these brainiacs, what are you doing? And they say, um, we're extracting sunbeams from cucumbers. Extracting sunbeams from cucumbers. So he says, this is the product of a disorganized brain. These people are trying to take electricity from the sky, leaving aside this concrete earth. And Srila Prabhupada also, when some of our devotees were committed to Bellevue in New York in the 1960s, uh, he had to testify in court uh, that the devotees were not crazy. And he then wrote a little pamphlet that we distributed called Who is Crazy? And if you look at the wonderful things that the scientists of this world have produced, um, atomic bombs, mass pollution of all water and earth and air, and flying hypersonic missiles to blow up children's schools. Who is crazy? So are we crazy uh, because we believe in, a blue boy who plays the flute and his girlfriend? Or is the world crazy? So Srila Sri Ramar says, no one will understand us when we say such things. Who will come to appreciate? They'll say, oh, this is all the product of a disorganized brain. These people are trying to take electricity from the sky, leaving aside this concrete earth. They're like the Chatika bird. Rupa Goswami says there's a class of bird known as Chatak who never take a drop of water from the earth. Their nature is that whenever they want a drop of water, they always cast their eyes to the clouds. One drop of pure water, that is their cry. And so they wait with their beaks towards the sky, towards the clouds, and they never use any water from the earth. So our line is like that. The spirit of that bird is described in the following way by Rupa Goswami. Virachayamahi dandam dinabandhu dayam va gatir ikanabhavata kachidanya mamashti nipatatu shati kotir dirbaram vanavamvas tarapi kilapayoda stuyate chatakena. You may punish me, O cloud. You may punish me. If a thunderbolt comes, I'll be nowhere. You can throw down thunder, or you can give me water. But how much can I drink with my small beak? A flood of rain may come. O Lord of the poor, Lord of the helpless, you can give me a drop of your devotion, or you may punish me like anything. He's always praying for water. The cloud may satisfy him immediately, or by sending a thunderbolt, it may finish him and efface him from the earth. The bird has no other alternative by nature. So Rupa Goswami says, my position is also like that bird. Oh, Krishna, you may finish me, destroy me, efface me from the world, or you may save me by only a drop of your grace. I won't search after my satisfaction in the mud. That is finished. I will never go back to search for my fortune in the earth, in the mundane. I'm already fixed to do or die. Either I must receive a drop of your grace, or you may finish me. In this way, Srila Rupa Goswami prays that Krishna's mercy will descend like rain from the clouds, and not only quench his thirst, but bathe him, satisfy his utmost hankering, and fulfill his innermost necessity. So we should never search for our fortune in the mud. We must always look to the high sky and pray for Sri Guru and his grace. Well, that finishes our reading of Sri Guru and His Grace by His Divine Grace Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami. This was first printed in 1983, so that was 43 years ago. And I am speechless. So thank you very much for attending uh, our little talk and listening to these words. And the funny thing, ladies and gentlemen and esteemed devotees, is it's not that you can just read this book one time and carry the gist of it away, and think, "Oh, all right, that's like the teachings of Marcus Aurelius or, uh, I don't know, the Bible or something." Um, you can actually read it again and again and then take one line and try to practice that for 30 or 40 years and see where it gets you. And I promise you that it will get you, it'll get you where you're going. And I don't know. That's all I can say. So
Thank you so much, Mahayogi Prabhu. So much appreciation for you to go through the book for us and to give your insight too. So I'm very grateful to you. There's a
so
couple of
you
things in
know,
the chat also.
one of the reasons why I keep procrastinating the reading is because I don't want to finish the book, because I feel that when I finish the book, I'll finish all of you, and that will be the end of me. So
No,
I don't know.
Mahayogi, we will go with you further. Wherever you go, we will go with you.
Goodbye, boys and girls. No, we'll try to do. I don't know. I read the Bhagavad Gita and tried to give some light on that, and then we read the Prapana Jivanamritam and tried to give some light on that. So I don't know. Shivashini Meenakshi Sundaram is our academic coordinator here, along with Pranashish and Tapanandini and Adwai. I am merely a puppet who dances at the end of the string that you move. And you tell me where you want to go from here and send me a message or something, and we'll see if we could do it then.
There is a book that not everybody has read, which I think is very, very nice. It is The Search of Krishna for His Lost Servant.
Yeah, that's actually, it's funny because, well, the last time I saw Goswami Maharaj in Thailand, for some reason, we were talking about different things. For some reason, I sat down and I guess I was in his library and I found that book on the shelf and pulled it down and started going through it. And I thought, my God, this is, this is, I don't want to say it's like the Chaitanya Charitamrita because I don't want to, you know, menospreciar, you understand? I don't want to lower the prestige of that book, but I was going through that and I thought, my God, this is brilliant. Yeah, I would love to read The Loving Search for the Lost Servant. I think I have it on my shelf here somewhere. I don't know. It's there. I always do that, like I'm going to pull a book off the shelf, but I can never find what I want. Yeah, it's over there. I'll have to find it. But yeah, we could do that. I don't know.
Yes, yeah,
What
that would be great. Definitely.
all right. Well, we'll see what the future holds, you know. Next week I'm on vacation because in Mexico we have Holy Week, and it's a big deal. So uh, I'll think about it. All right. So, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Thank you to everybody who's listening, and good luck to all. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Mahayogi Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you.
All
Dhanavad,
the
Haribol.
Dandavats, all the assembled devotees ki jai. Dandavats,
Dhanavad.
Dandavats, Didi, Dandavats.
Dhanavad. Thank you, Subhasini.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mahayogi.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone. Thank you so much.